Hello guys, Art-Teeves here. This is the second video that covers the texturing process of this simple stylized ukulele. I want to remind you that it was modeled as a single object and has a resolution of a 2K. I'm not baking high poly to a low poly here, and also I'm not baking strings to a transparent polygon, which would have been a great idea to make an actually low poly ukulele for mobile platforms. Texture padding was set to 8, subsampling to 16, ID section was disabled, and also the highest possible amount of phrase was set on all tabs. If you like my videos, be my guest and subscribe to my channel for more stylized content. And now, let's get started. I start off by applying a preset stylized wood smart material, which I'll later change into a different one. I wanted to avoid cutting video a lot, so I left this fragment intact. As you can see, I create two folders that get black masks. Both of them have the same material, and yet one has it with all of its grunges and layers rotated by 90 degrees. I'll skip the part where I edit colors and see what happens. Make sure to review your model now and then with different light maps and environments. Next I add a fill layer, mask it, and use a preset smart mask to highlight edges. You can use a mask generator here and play around with its curvature settings. Stylized models normally look better if you make their edges slightly brighter than the rest of the model. You can also give this layer some transparency in its blending options, so that it is barely visible. I use a default copper-worn smart material to texture Fretboard. Obviously I change its color and also reduce its damage settings slightly. I use the darker version of the same material to create frets. You don't want to make it too shiny and reflective, so adding some dust will always be a good idea. Once I am happy with its color, I add the same material to tuning pegs and their rear mechanisms. I apply the same material to bridge and saddle, and also apply a modified version of Cobalt Smart material to strings. Later I've changed Cobalt to another version of copper and gave it a somewhat bluish tint. As I've told before, I paint frets to a darker version of the material that was used for Fretboard. I also added to some of the rear parts of tuning pegs mechanisms to highlight their details just a little bit. I add some dust to frets and fretboard to conceal their metal shine and make them look weathered and old. Next I apply a fill layer to tuning pegs to imitate strings attached to them. I apply a black mask to them and fill them with a grunge that has some parallel lines. Then I simply play around with its rotation, height and tiling. I repeat the same process with tuning keys. This time I add a fill layer, mask it, and fill it with some grunge that has a hexagonal pattern. Make sure to edit layer's height, obviously. At this point I've decided to make the body of the guitar a little bit less stylized, so I've retextured it with another preset smart material. Nothing special about it. I create a fill layer, mask it, apply a paint layer to it, and paint position markers with hard brush. I mark this layer as anchor point, to apply a different material to it, and also to have access to its modified height. Then I add the smart material of choice, and create the reference to my anchor points. Next I create a fixed paint layer, set all of its blending options to pass through, and use the clone stamp tool to conceal all visible UV seams. I paint sunflower by using my old tablet, nothing really special about it. You may want to use some kind of a reference image to borrow color schemes from it, and to get the relative idea of how shades work. I use the lazy brush setting to paint borders and also paint some vector things by using the follow along path tool. Make sure that you don't paint on a paint layer, but rather on a paint mask applied to a masked fill layer, so you retain full control over its settings. I'm not sure how to narrate the rest of the coloring process. Basically, I simply put a paint layer under those layers responsible for borders, and fill them with one of 3 corresponding colors, also trying to imagine how shades work. I use the Follow Along Path tool to highlight all thin lines. I think it's always better to keep details thick for your stylized models. At this point you may want to add some stylized wood normals or maybe some dust, especially the leak scrunch. Also you may want to apply an HSL filter to your paint layer to make the painting blend better with wood. This is it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like my videos, be my guest and subscribe to my channel for more stylized content. And most importantly, have a great day.